Hey there, Sarah here again, bringing you the next video of our Tarot Throwdown video series here. So this one, we are talking all about charging, cleansing, energy stuff around your card deck. So some of the questions that I get asked frequently are, how do you charge a deck? How do you cleanse a deck? How do you get other people's energy out of your card deck? The answer is pretty simple. You can do any of the same things that you do to move energy in your physical space or in your body. You can do the same things with your tarot cards, with maybe the exception of spritzing them with water. You might not want to do that because they are paper, right? But what you can do, you can use something like Palo Santo, or you can, or you can use some sage or incense smoke, anything like that. And you can simply waft smoke over your cards. You can lay them all out and get a little bit on each card. You can charge them or cleanse them up with a selenite wand. You can, if you would like to, you can put them outside under kind of full moon or solar energy. Again, just be careful. You don't want to wash them out or anything with the sun, but for a little bit, you'd probably be okay. You can charge them up and cleanse them up with some solar energy or some lunar energy. Depending on what kinds of practice work that you do, you might want to charge them in between spaces, like a windowsill or a door frame, or perhaps if you've made yourself a fairy garden or something where there's kind of like a cross area, or if you have a circle in your yard that you work with for some magical practices, you can put it kind of at that liminal space in between and charge it up in that void space of all that is here and all that's not there, right? Anything at all, really, anything that you would do to cleanse your own energy, to charge yourself up, you can do with your tarot cards. You can also use sound. Another handy trick is to hold the cards in your non-dominant hand and then knock the energy down through them with your dominant hand and just see yourself pushing any negative energies out. When you first receive a deck, it can be helpful to kind of go through, and some people really like to go through and touch each card. And as you're doing it, put the intention behind that of moving your energy into the card deck, right? So that's another thing that you can do. You can use your cards and you can charge them up with a crystal. You'll see a lot of people do this. They just simply place a crystal on top of the card deck, and you can choose the crystal maybe based on the types of readings that you're doing, based on what you feel like your cards need or what you need to be a good reader right now. Maybe you're feeling really unloving and you want to bring some love to your practice and energy, so you use a rose quartz. Maybe you're doing love readings and you want to use the rose quartz, whatever that might be. So you can leave a deck out and charge it. You can put a crystal with the deck inside of a tarot bag or a tarot box. Really, there are no rules when it comes to charging, cleansing your deck. It's really what works for you. So when might you want to cleanse or charge up a tarot deck? So for some people, this is going to be really ritualistic, and they're going to do it with every full moon or every new moon, or every time they do a reading, or they do a lot of readings, or before they do a reading for themselves or whatever. And for some people, it's going to be just kind of like, oh, maybe I feel like they need to be cleansed. And it's not going to be such a ritual thing, and there's not going to be such a timetable behind it. So again, there are no hard and fast rules here, but some things, maybe at the full moon or new moon would be a good time to do some extra work around cleansing or charging, or if you have been doing readings for other people. Specifically, if you've been doing kind of readings for a lot of people back to back, you might want to really cleanse and charge up your card deck and yourself as well. Something that can be really handy when you're doing a lot of readings for people is to keep your feet, if you can, flat on the floor, or you can put your feet even on like a piece of selenite or something, and make sure that you're sending your own energies out of yourself, right? Like, you're not taking in their energies. So if you're doing a reading for somebody and the person is particularly, cranky, you don't want to hold all their energies in. So take some time to send that energy back out of yourself again, so you're not bringing it in with your cards. You can also use a selenite wand and kind of move it around your cards to cut energies away. Like, imagine like using a knife to actually cut energies away from it as you move the the wand around if you've been doing readings for other people. So those are all some things you can do to cleanse and charge your decks. Again, there's no hard and fast rules. Whatever feels good for you is going to be great. You can even get as fancy as sewing up a tarot storage bag that has herbs in it, like in the layers of fabric, for charging and cleansing. Or maybe you put crystal chips in between the layers of the fabric so they're always in there. Or maybe you have a fabric bag and you have a little like mesh pouch on the inside of the fabric where you can interchange different crystals and things and hold them in place, and then they're not like rolling around with your tarot cards and possibly damaging them, especially if it's like a really fancy deck or something. So these are all some really cool things you can think about. And especially if you're creating incense to cleanse yourself, or you're creating your own tarot pouch to carry the cards in, you're imbuing that much more magic into your practice, right? You're putting that much more energy into the thing that you're doing and what you're working on. So all some things to consider here as we kick off our tarot throwdown. So far, I hope that you got your journal ready, checked out Anna's video on the different types of card decks and what those look like in tarot, some different examples. I hope that you've considered what sort of deck you might want to work with. And if you've been reading tarot for a while and you're feeling kind of stagnant in your practice, maybe consider the decks you're using. Maybe you have too many decks and you're experiencing deck overwhelm. I hate to be the one to say it, but that is a thing. So maybe put all of them away except for like 2 and work with those for right now. Maybe a standard deck and one that's not so standard, and just get back into the swing of things. So consider what kind of things you want to work with. Get that journal out. Choose a deck or 2 that you want to work with. And what are you going to do around charging, cleansing, and storage? Like, what feels really good for you? Are you kind of more of an on-the-fly type person where it's not really a big deal? Or do you want to have a ritual around it? Do you want this to be part of your practice? Is this how you connect to source? Is this how you connect to your higher self? Consider all of those things. Some people are able to just sit down and take a deep breath and say, I'm connected. I'm connected with all that is. And some people really need the tool to help them get to that place, particularly if you are a person who has a lot of chaos or a lot of monkey mind, and having the tarot tool can really help to channel your thoughts and align you with that kind of source energy so you can hear your intuition. And if that's the case, you might want more ritual around it because it really helps you get into that zone. So consider all of these things, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.